Let's go on and take a look at question 2 here. In question number 2 now, we're asked to identify the figures in a different diagram. And here we're asked to name rays and line segments. Now these are another two we have not identified yet, but we're in the definitions. A ray is just kind of like a line, except we're only going for an arrowhead on one side. Now it doesn't mean it necessarily has to be drawn with an arrowhead on one side. We can just start it at a finite point to define a ray. So the one that's really obvious based on what I just said here is this one here, MO, because MO has an arrowhead, as you can see, just here on the O side. So we're going to go ahead and write that as MO, and you put the arrowhead in the labels. Again, I'll make the arrowhead bigger so it's easier to see. That arrowhead goes on the same side as it is in the illustration. So as you can see, comparing M to O, the arrowhead is closest to the O side, so we put the arrowhead over the O. Now, taking a look at the top here, now we have two others. If I just start at M here and continue in the direction of N, that's a ray of its own. All right, starting here, again, I'm ignoring what's to the left here. I'm literally starting at M and continuing in the direction of N towards the arrowhead. All right, that is a ray. And so we'd write that one as MN. Now I can look at this one the other way though. If I literally start at N and head back towards M, towards that arrowhead, that is also a ray. So you've got NM. Now line segment is part of a line or part of a ray that just literally goes from point to point. That's all. So you just go from point to point. So here I could go from M to N or N to M. So that's this answer here. Again, it's the same forwards or backwards because it would measure the same distance. And then M to O, or we go the other way, O to M. And as you can see, that's just marked with part of a line. It doesn't have the arrowheads at all. So it's exactly how it looks on the illustration. Now as we go ahead and take a look at number 3 here, in number 3 they're asking me to identify the line segments that are congruent in the figure. Now if you take a look at the illustration here, what you've probably figured out is that in this illustration there's no measurements given. There's nothing here that says this is 3 inches, this is 4 inches, this is 2 inches. It doesn't say that anymore. What they're showing you here is another way to show congruence by using tick marks. The number of tick marks that goes through a certain part indicates how long it is compared to another part. The one that's probably easiest to see is the top and the bottom of this rectangle. If you look at the top and the bottom of the rectangle there, they both happen to have one tick mark through them. That's not just a way they drew it. That's actually because those two sides have the same length. Now, being opposite sides of a rectangle, that's fairly obvious. But that's why they both have one tick mark, to indicate that they are the same. As you can see, looking at the left and the right sides of the rectangle in the middle there, those both have 2 tick marks. Well, we know because it's a rectangle that those side lengths would have to be the same. So that indicates that those 2 sides are congruent as well. Now, as we take a look at the triangles here going around the shape, as you can see here, we've got quite a few tick marks going around here. These tick marks are all the same. Those are all 3 tick mark sides. Because those are all 3 tick mark sides here, that indicates that all of those sides happen to be the same as each other. So that's what they're doing here. They're asking you to identify the congruence based on the number of tick marks. So we're going to say that AB, which goes from point to point, so that's a line segment, is the same as CD. AC, which is the top to the bottom of the rectangle, is the same as BD. Again, both have 2 tick marks. And then BF is the same as DF, is the same as EC, is the same as AE, because they all have 3 tick marks going through them. And that's something you'll see quite often in the geometry sections here. They'll indicate congruence not by giving you actual measures, but by drawing tick marks.